Up next on MOTV Forecast, we are tracking a temperature cool down ahead. Find out where temperatures will get even colder across the country and what locations may even get in on some snow. And we have the latest on the West wildfires. As wildfires continue to burn out west, will weather conditions enhance or diminish further wildfire danger risk? And we are tracking the tropics. Hurricane Epsilon isn't the only game in town. We're tracking an area of investigation with an increasing chance of development. That's all right here, right now on MOTV Forecast. And today is Friday, October 23rd. Welcome into MOTV Forecast. We have a lot to get to today. I'm student meteorologist Winch, and we have, a lot of cold weather across the country to talk about today. Why don't we start off here by taking a look at our current surface map, see what's going on across the country. We can see you have some areas of snow up along the Great Lakes region. If you're farther more towards the northwest of the Great Lakes, you'll be getting in on that snow. Elsewhere, pretty much in store for quite a bit of rainfall. And up in the Pacific Northwest, some portions of Washington at those higher elevations are getting in on some snowfall as well, while farther towards the coast in places like Seattle getting in on some rain. Now we can see we've got a cold front across the central U.S. right now, providing quite a bit of rain all the way along it down into Texas. But what we want to talk about first here is our temperature cool down. We have cooler weather on the way for much of the country, and in some places very cold weather, to places that are already pretty cold right now. If we take a look at our forecast highs for today, places like Billings, Rapid City, we are below the freezing mark, temperatures in the upper 20s there. As we head even farther south to places like Kansas City and Oklahoma City, you're talking about temperatures there only in the mid 40s to lower 50s. Kansas City too, yesterday we were in the 80s, so this is a big change from the temperature that we saw yesterday. And as we head into tomorrow, we're also going to be seeing the cooler weather for areas like Billings, Rapid City, down into Kansas City. Minneapolis only getting to about 30 degrees there. And even up in Seattle, only seeing a temperature evening out there about 50 degrees. As we head into our Sunday, we see this cold weather stick around. Denver getting down to 20 degrees. We could be getting in on some snow as we head towards early parts of next week for places in the Rockies and in Colorado specifically. And look at how cold that high is in Billings for our day on Sunday. Definitely talking about some cold weather. Maybe warming up a little bit in Oklahoma City to 65 degrees. As we head into Monday, though, even portions of northern Texas getting in that cooler weather. A high expected of only 27 there in Amarillo. So definitely some cooler weather on the way. Some snow will be coming along with this. If we take a look at our snowfall forecast, areas that are in these deeper purples could be getting up towards a foot of snow. Most of that in places like Montana and Wyoming, and portions of Idaho as well. And this is over the next 48 hours, so that'll be into our day on Sunday. But this is going to start, the snow is going to start moving farther south as we head throughout early next week as well. And we can see that by first talking about what we're seeing in Colorado right now in terms of wildfires. We can see the East Troublesome Lake fire really producing a lot of dry conditions, and we have a lot of burning going on with this wildfire. One of the biggest wildfires Colorado has ever seen, I believe. And this location is pretty much by Hot Sulphur Springs and Grand Lake towards the southwest of Rustic, Colorado. Temperatures are going to be getting cold, but the real thing that will be fighting these fires, we think, through early next week is going to be the snowfall. We're going to be having some heavy snowfall place itself over these portions of Colorado where the wildfires are the worst. And we could see if we overlay where the wildfires are with the snowfall forecast, looking at some places potentially getting up to a foot of snowfall. So it'll be interesting to see how this affects the firefighters trying to fight the wildfires And if it does enough damage to put some of them out, we definitely hope so, especially because it is a very significant fire out there in Colorado. Now, also talking about wildfires out in the Pacific Northwest, or not the Pacific Northwest, really just the western portion of the country altogether, specifically in California. And if we take a look, we have a lot of drought in the west right now, and we're not expecting much rain over the next 7 days. So this is going to help increase our fire chances, which is why we have red flag warnings in those red shaded areas for much of Northern California. If you're in the orange there, you're under a fire weather watch, so still want to prepare for very dry conditions that will aid wildfires in spreading. Now, if we take a look at our fire potential for our day on Monday, we are going to see critical fire potential stretch from Redding, California, all the way down through San Francisco. So definitely not a good sign for firefighters already fighting significant wildfires out there in California. Let's just hope in the long term we start seeing some better signs of rainfall that will help out these wildfires. Now, somewhere not really directly impacted by the wildfires, but still out there on the west coast is Seattle, Washington. If we take a look at your 5-day forecast here, we're going to be staying pretty chilly in the upper 40s for the next 2 days. It's getting into the 50s as we head throughout early next week, getting to 55 on our Tuesday. Looks like we're going to be staying dry except for the day today, where we are expecting a 90% chance of showers. So definitely not the greatest day to be outside in Seattle today, but we got some drier weather coming, although pretty chilly if you ask me. Now out in Hebron, Maryland, we are seeing on the East Coast here, we're seeing dry conditions over the next 5 days, which is good news there. We are expecting temperatures to be in the mid to upper 70s as we head throughout excuse me there, as we head throughout the day today into tomorrow. Sunday will be our coolest day with some cloud cover at 56 degrees. We warm back up into the 70s though for early next week. Now in Flanders, New Jersey, out in Mount Olive, we're talking about temperatures are going to be in the 60s with cloudy conditions over the next 2 days. As we head to Sunday, we get some sun finally. Talking about mostly sunny conditions there, though, with the temperature only making it to 51 degrees. And as we head into early next week, the chance for some spotty showers, pretty much 50-50 there for you on your Monday and Tuesday, with temperatures again in the 50s. Now let's switch gears here to the tropics, where we are talking about Hurricane Epsilon, which is currently in the central Atlantic. If we switch gears over here to talk about its satellite, we can see it's a well-looking hurricane, a little bit, I would say it's a little bit, mixed with like an extratropical nor'easter kind of system, but we still have that tropical core, the center of the storm where we see that eye. It's currently a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 85 miles per hour. So we are talking about, a low-end hurricane, but I don't want that to really change how you view this, because it's really what we're seeing right now with this storm is we're seeing a very large wind field. Now what that is going to do, even though it's out to sea, not affecting much in terms of land areas, we're seeing this large wind field really kick up some waves there. So we're seeing a lot of high surf, especially in places like Bermuda, which just got skirted by those tropical storm force winds, and even could be causing some forms of rip currents and upwelling along the east coast. So definitely something we want to keep track of as Epsilon makes its way out to sea. And as I said, making its way out to sea, not expected to hit any land areas. It will go post-tropical as it makes its way farther north over the central Atlantic for the end of our weekend. And then it could potentially impact portions of Europe much farther down the line as a post-tropical storm. Now we wanted to switch gears here, talk about Invest 95L, and if we take a look at where it is in relation to the Atlantic Basin, we're talking about in the Northern Caribbean right now, and it has currently a 60% chance of developing over the next 5 days. That has been up significantly since this time yesterday, and it is expected to make its way into the Gulf of Mexico as we head over the next couple of days. And if we take a look at its current satellite, we can see why it has an pretty much increased chance of development, because even though it's not a very organized storm right now, we do see a lot of convection with this storm just south of Cuba here, and this will be continuing to move closer to the lower 48 into the Gulf of Mexico as we head into the next couple of days. Now, if we see the environment it's really going into, it's going into an environment where we're not seeing much in terms of wind shear. So we're not getting much shear on this storm right now, which will allow it to develop some stronger shear in the Gulf. That's later down the line we'll have to think about. We'll have to see exactly how that plays out the farther out we go. But in the immediate future, it does have quite a fair shot at developing, which is why there's a 50% chance of development over the next 2 days, a 60% chance of development over the next 5 days. And we'll definitely have to focus on interests here in the Gulf of Mexico. Even here in Florida, definitely somewhere where we want to be keeping track of its impacts. Now, if we take a look at the water temperatures in the path of this storm, they're very warm, 85 degrees, 84 degrees, well enough to support tropical cyclone development. As we head into the northern portions of the Gulf, though, luckily, we're going to have cooler waters, so this might keep the storm's intensity at bay in the long run. We'll just definitely have to see how that goes there. And now if we also take a look at its rainfall forecast, next 5 days, we don't really know exactly where the storm is going to go yet. So we just know that in the Caribbean, it's going to be producing quite a bit of rainfall for the island of Cuba. If we go towards central southern Cuba, areas in those yellows and those oranges is where you're seeing the heavier precipitation. Now, some areas in Florida that may be impacted by this area of investigation is Arapahoe, Florida. Arapahoe, next 4 days, we're going to be staying dry, temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. But Tuesday, we see some afternoon thunderstorms. May that be associated with parts of Invest 95L or what may become of it. We'll definitely have to see. This is something we'll just be figuring out as we go over the next couple of days. And then out towards Tallahassee, Florida. Today and tomorrow, kind of partially associated with this area of investigation. We're expecting to see some scattered thunderstorms for the afternoon today and tomorrow. But as we head into the beginning of next week, seeing some drier conditions, temperatures still in the mid-80s there. Tuesday, again, are we going to be seeing potential impacts from this area of investigation in the Gulf, or currently in the Caribbean and eventually in the Gulf? We'll definitely have to see for that. Well, I do want to thank you so much for joining me here on MOTV Forecast today. Had a lot to talk about, and hopefully you make yourself an amazing weekend ahead. Enjoy the weather if it's nice. If it's not, find something else enjoyable to do. Thank you so much for joining me here on MOTV Forecast. Signing off, it's student meteorologist Riley Winch.